Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and I am coming at you with the Tao of the Day. The Tao is an ancient text. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written about 600 BCE. This is around the same time that scholars believe that the Old Testament was written, and the Tao Te Ching is an Eastern text that revolves around the idea of the grand feminine, or that which yields, overcomes that which moves forward, that which advances. Some of the one of the verses was like, it is better to um, retreat a yard than to advance an inch. And I really believe that. I do believe that there is a lot to be said about the ability to yield and the ability to step back or to retreat a bit in order to step forward. Here I am as usual. I like to come on in the beginning at the top of the hour, but I do have some things to do, so I'm going to move through and do this as I step in. And so Energy Lady is joining me first. And so Energy Lady, how are you
Good
doing today?
morning. Yeah, wow,
Good
2 days in a
morning.
row. You actually popped up on
2
my
days.
phone and I went, there's a sign.
Beautiful. Yeah, no, here I am. I am excited as always to present the Tao, and you being someone who I've discussed this with a lot. We're gonna move into a different translation. I think
Ooh, fun.
we're gonna look at Isabel Mears. Now this is an old translation, so we may have to go back and forth and see something. And I don't know, like I'm just inspired to do that at the moment. So let's pick a
I'll take
number and
it.
see what she says.
35.
35. Let's dive into 35. All right. So, once again, be patient with me as I read through the Isabel Mears, and then
Yeah,
we
she's got
will
a different way of
yeah,
speaking, right? Yeah.
she's got a little, it was written in 1919, I believe, so it has a different like cadence.
Yes.
Hold fast the idea of the great. Then all men will be drawn to you. They will come to you and receive no hurt, but rest, peace, and great calm. When you provide music and exquisite food, the traveler will stay with you gladly. When the Tao flows out from you to him, by his palate, he does not detect its savor. By his eyes, he cannot perceive it. By his ears, he cannot hear it. But in using it, he finds it to be inexhaustible. So this is interesting, and I think I kind of gather what it's saying. I mean, I've read the Tao for a long time, so I do know, like, ultimately what this is stating. But what are some of your first thoughts?
My first thought, especially in the beginning, what's the first line?
Hold fast to the idea of the great, then
There you
all
go.
men will be drawn to you.
Okay. With what has been coming through me because of what I found just the other day inside,
Mm-hmm.
what to me this is telling me is be you, don't worry about it. Everybody will be fed, everybody will have whatever it is. It's not about them, it's about you. Simply be you, and it will be the example.
Yeah. Hold fast to the idea of the great. And when it says the great, maybe we
That's the
can
universe to me.
yeah, that's the universe, that's the Tao, right? Hold
Yeah,
fast
that's
to the
all it is.
idea of the Tao, of the great, of the thing that is, and you are attached to that. You are you know, you cannot be extracted from the great, because the great is you. The great is part of you. The great is within you in all ways.
And why
So,
that way, why that affects me, why that is so clear to me is because what I say is bringing out the greatness in people, allowing people to connect to the greatness. And I know what that means to me. And it's the same vibrational pattern as what that means. And that's really
yeah.
stinking cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, hold fast to the idea of the great. Then all men will be drawn to you. Then, everything will come your way. They will come to you and receive no hurt, but rest, peace, and great calm.
No blame, shame, and guilt. No right, wrong. Connecting the dots to you with an open heart.
Yeah, and they will
How's
like
that
that's the
sound?
thing. They will receive they will come to you and receive no hurt. And here, when we can kind of dive into the other, other teachings around this idea that there are no other people, this idea that this is all you, you will, all men, all of you will be drawn to you because all men are you, because you are connected to all things and they're all just having different experiences. They will come to you and receive no hurt, which means as you look internally, as you look to your life, you will receive no hurt,
Yes.
but rest, peace, and great calm. Like understanding when you can hold fast to the idea of the great, of the big picture, when you can kind of step back and stop exploring life through your own eyes and through your own, little experience at this moment, you will be able to receive that rest. You will be able to receive that calm.
And I
When you
and I, wait, but
go
on a
ahead.
personal level, sorry about that. That
Yeah,
was
yeah,
that
yeah,
was
no,
really
no,
rude.
no.
On a personal level, what you just shared was putting it more in perspective. Because yes, my thing has always been about everybody else, and I know that. Why? Because that's how I was brought up in this. But what this is saying to me is, I found the nugget that I kept going back to. So what I'm doing now is realigning with me, reminding myself that simply being me, I can trust that now and not worry about if I do this, is that going to happen? Because that was my whole life. And I don't have to do that. With your explanation just now,
Mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm.
just came through. So thank
Yeah,
you for that bigger part. I appreciate it.
absolutely. And now it moves on. See, this is where I get a little interested. Like, just like when you provide music and exquisite food, the traveler will stay with you gladly. Now that is,
That's coming from the heart.
yeah, but that's music and exquisite food is in the manifestation, right?
No, actually,
Like,
no. I don't see it that way. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is music to me is vibrations. That's what I'm hearing. Vibrations. It's just being of the vibrational pattern of what a music is, whatever music is. And food is nurturing them, nurturing the space of who I am. Because if I go into, because music is huge for me. So if I go into the vibrational patterns or the vibrational energies of the beauty of what music is, because like you said, that you don't really know what the notes are until the note's not there. So being in that vibrational energy allows me, and I know what this means to me. It's just showing me to be
mhm.
me. For me now, it's just that this is the what's next. And then the nurturing part is allowing the energies to be through me, just like a tree needs or grass needs to be fed through the solar system. It's the same thing
Yeah,
to that broader perspective.
yeah. I hold a different perspective.
Share. I
Yeah,
just wanted to share mine first because
absolutely, absolutely. No, and I really appreciate that because I do think it can be seen in a very positive way. But I
yes.
think what we're looking at is something a little bit when we talk about music and exquisite food, the traveler will stay with you gladly. However, now we continue on. When the Tao flows from you to him, which is not music, which is not exquisite food, which is not something that you can grasp. His palate does not detect its flavor. His eyes cannot perceive it. His ears cannot hear it, but in using it, he finds it to be inexhaustible. And I think that's what we're seeing here. When you provide, like good words to somebody, when you provide a place for them to pacify, when you provide a place for them to rest, and the way that you're talking about music, I think, is in vibration. And when we
Yes.
so we get away from the idea that you actually hear something, but you feel something, right? And so,
Absolutely.
so we are looking at it as being Tao driven,
Right, but it was
but
put
I
to
do
me, but to me it was put in that perspective so I could hear it, and now hearing you and feeling what you're saying even puts it in a bigger perspective.
right because you can provide people with Amazon, and they can go and buy things, and they would stay with you gladly. They will happily stay here. But it is uncomfortable and it is difficult to stay to stay by somebody's side sometimes when they can't detect the flavor of the food they're eating. They
Yep.
can't see what you're trying to say and they can't hear it. It's so many people just want to embrace that, that moment of axe throwing. I want to embrace this physicalness only. But beyond the flavor, beyond the perception, beyond the sound, using that depth of what we are holding fast to, right? We're holding fast to the greatness, and then we're being drawn in. And I think that is where we find this one really kind of sitting in this space of like when you can hold fast to the idea that you are the greatness. There is the greatness within you, then all things will be drawn to you.
So in other words, I'm enough.
Yeah, always, always,
Okay,
always.
no, and what I say that with
Yeah,
jest because
absolutely.
that's the bigness of what I'm hearing is
Yeah,
that, Nancy, do you hear this? You are enough, no worries, no foul play, and what you were doing before is why it stopped. Because
yeah,
you don't know what I was doing before, but what I was doing
right.
before, I was told was the answer, but they were feeding off of what you're saying. That
Yeah,
old, yeah. So it was confirmation, but also a little hug saying, it's okay.
you're right.
That's pretty powerful, by the way.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm
It
glad
is.
that we got through that.
Yeah, it's thank you. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it because it's like I said, it's just a hug. It's a simple hug, and it was perfectly done in the
Mm,
sense
yeah,
because yep.
everything
And
is.
yeah, well, yeah, but I sat there this morning and I was getting ready and I said, I'm open. That's why I kept saying, I'm open and I'm willing, so show it to me.
Right.
And then a couple minutes later, whatever, half hour later, Martin John comes on and the number came to me and I went, all right, we're going.
Let's look into it. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad that I could be a vehicle for that clarity.
I'm glad that they allowed me to see that you were part of that vehicle because
Oh,
that is the receptive mode for me.
that
And
is
it's a
beautiful.
different spot. And I simply, because you're simple and I appreciate you. And I mean
Yeah.
simple in the best way
I yeah.
possible.
I am like an idiot. My mind is so. That's a
No,
line from the Tao. I am like an idiot. My mind is so empty. And we just
hmm,
like we want to keep it simple. We want to keep it simple, and we want to be able to be here as the greatness we were brought here to be.
right. And as the greatness that we really are, and we're simply fine tuning it with people like you and me.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
everybody else, of course, because the
Yeah,
other stuff is perfect.
everybody is part of the story. So I'm
Yeah, so well,
grateful for
thank
it.
you so much. I'm going to drop down simply
Yeah.
because your time is valuable and so is mine. So I'm going to keep
Yes,
listening. But
absolutely.
thank you so much. Big hug.
Big hugs. Thank you.
Bye.
We're gonna bring up Marcy. It's been so long since I've chatted with Marcy. Looking forward to it. Let's see what Marcy has to offer. Marcy, how are you, my dear?
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am well. I'm very well.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. And yourself, how are you?
I'm good. Well, I'm fabulous. I'm always fabulous.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. I'm glad.
good.
So yeah. What's going on in the life of Marcy these days?
I have an interview at 12:30
Okay.
for a podcast. I have no idea what they're going to ask me.
What's the podcast? Can you divulge that
Um,
information?
I've got to go look for the name. My friend Larry, LP, we call him. You know
I know
LP.
LP. Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
his. It's his show.
Oh,
So he
good.
asked me. Yeah, he asked me to interview today. So I'm preparing myself for that mentally.
Yeah, yeah. Well, LP has a lot of good things to say, so I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful interview, and I wish you the best. Let's see if we can find a number that might be able to stick with you today. That'll help. Just support you through that.
Yeah, let's go with 51.
51.
I keep telling myself that I'm going to write them down so that I don't repeat them,
Oh yeah, no. Sometimes you need to
but I
repeat.
forget. Yeah.
Yeah. Every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. It springs into existence unconscious, perfect, and free, takes on a physical body, and lets circumstances complete it. That is why every being spontaneously honors the Tao. The Tao gives birth to all beings, nourishing them, maintains them, cares for them, comforts them, protects them, takes them back to itself, creating without possessing, acting without expecting, guiding without interfering. That is why love of the Tao is in the nature of all things. You know, this is an interesting one because I'm seeing like it's just kind of making a lot of, it's just telling us what the Tao does.
Right.
You know, it's not really offering a whole lot, but when we can recognize that the Tao is within us, you know, and we can surrender to this moment, no matter what this moment has. This 51 is an expression of is kind of giving us a clue as to what's behind the curtain of the Tao.
Right. Okay.
Every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. So no matter what a being is doing or what a being is expressing, there is beauty in that. So even if they're expressing things that we would refer to as negative or mean, those expressions are still expressions of the Tao in this moment. That
Right.
doesn't mean that they're quote unquote good, they just are, but they are expressions of the greatest thing that is who we are. The greatest part of what we are is the Tao. And that is connected to all things.
Okay. I don't feel like I want to be connected to all things. However, I understand where it's coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like having that, like you know, when it's like, oh, I don't want to be connected to all things, and that is resistance over surrender. And we're
Okay.
resistant to be a part of something that we put on some hierarchy of being, well, this is good and this is bad, or whatever, or this is right or this is wrong, or this is like, and once we start getting into that mode, we start having preference.
Preference.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You know, this 51 continues to say it springs into existence, unconscious, perfect, free, takes on a physical body. And it could just be an action, but that action could have a body. It envelops a certain parameter of time in our experience.
Mm-hmm.
Lets circumstances complete it. The circumstances of judgment, the circumstances of what is going on around it, what experiences is it attached to, how are we experiencing this? Those are the circumstances in which it unconsciously and perfectly took on a body of some sort. Everything that we do is an expression of the Tao, and it is perfect, even if we reference it as a mistake. It is still perfect.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, I when my children say I'm not perfect or they're not perfect, and I tell them, but you are.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them all the time.
That's exactly right. They are perfect. You know, I like to say, I don't know if you've heard me say this, but don't let your definition of the word perfection rob you of yours.
Oh, I like that. No, I've never heard that before.
Yeah, that's one of my quotes. Like, don't let your definition of the word perfection rob you of yours, because you are perfect here and now. You know, and a lot of people want to say we're perfectly imperfect. I'm just like, wait a minute. Like, there's a caveat to that, and that's like you're perfect. It's
Right.
not about being imperfect because it's impossible to be imperfect because you are an expression of the Tao. Every being in the universe is an expression of the Tao. The Tao is perfect as it is, and we can talk about good and bad, right and wrong, and all those things, but all of that, every being, and this is this last line of this first section, that is why every being spontaneously honors the Tao. You can't not. Even, like I wrote somebody the other day about this idea of surrender, and it's just like when you surrender, you are you are in accordance with all things. And she was like, exactly. And paradoxically, when you are in resistance, you are also in accordance with all things, because you're perfect, just as the Tao is. You honor the Tao through your actions, and if your actions are ones of resistance, you are contributing to the whole, that resistance, which is what we need, which is perfect right now.
Okay. It's a lot to think about.
That this continues as the Tao gives birth to all things. And then we go into all of this sort of like there's a lot of things here, right? Nourishes them, maintains them, cares for them, comforts them, protects them, takes them back to itself, creating without possessing, acting without expecting, guiding without interfering. So it does all of those things. It's caring for us, maintaining us, nourishing us, comforting us, protecting us, taking them back to itself, meaning that we are going to die.
Right.
But it's creating all that without possessing it. We have the ability to be free in this life and to, make our choices, even though those choices are being an expression of the Tao. They
Right.
are the choices that we are making. And when we look into science, it's very often that we find that like our free will might not be as free as we think it is.
Um, I say that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have free will, and
Yeah.
it looks that way from the outside. Like I made the choice, but when we examine how the brain works, the choice was made before you made it.
Okay.
So creating without possessing. It doesn't possess us. We are here and acting and doing all this, acting without expecting. The universe doesn't have an expectation for what we're going to do, and it's always kind of ahead of the game somehow. Like I know we all have had experiences where we made a choice that had we not made that choice, it would have made things worse, but we didn't know why we were making that choice. Like, it's like I remember when I was in high school, people would be like, I was just thinking about you. How weird. And you just called me. And I'm like, no, actually, that's a standard. I'm hearing that from everybody all the time. People think about me and then I call. It's not weird anymore. When you hear that, when you interact with the world in that way, it's not strange. It's not out of the ordinary to think of someone and then them pop up. That is actually ordinary because we're connected.
Mm-hmm.
Guiding without interfering, and and I think that's like you as a mother probably have more experience with that, where you get to guide people without getting in their way.
Even with my clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, like the first thing I tell them is, I'm not a therapist.
Right.
So if you're in therapy, stay there, and I can guide you through the rest.
Yeah.
I like
Absolutely.
that because I'm not
Yeah.
in control.
Right. When I walk into intensive outpatient programs, I tell them I don't care about your sobriety. I'm not here to do that. Like, you want to go out and use, you go out and use. That's on you. But it would have been on you if I cared about your sobriety or not. So
Right.
it just doesn't matter. What I care about is you,
Yep.
and I want to help you make choices and be supported in the choices that you're making.
Okay. Got it.
That is why, and the last line, that is why love of the Tao is in the very nature of all things.
Okay.
Okay.
Feels good.
It feels good. It does.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Marcy, I love you. I'm so glad that we
I
got a
love you
chance
too.
to chat today.
Me too. I'm gonna head out. because I've
Yep,
got an
yep, yep.
interview. So,
Yeah,
well,
you
I
go
told
do
you
it.
with LP, I'm gonna get
Tell
ready.
LP, tell LP I send him my best.
I will. I'll talk to you later, honey.
Bye-bye. Okay, if anybody else wants to come up and pick a number between 1 and 81, I would be glad to receive that. Otherwise, my name is Martin John. This is Tao of the Day. And in Tao of the Day, I ask you to come up and just pick a number. You don't have to know anything about the Tao whatsoever. I am here to help you read through the Tao. If you're interested in getting a link to the Tao Te Ching, definitely check me out on Instagram, send me a DM, and I will send you links so you can read the Tao on your own if you're interested. I have a subscription service where you and I can have a conversation, one-on-one, 1 hour conversation every month. I would love to be able to chat with you. So if you're interested in the work that I talk about, if you're interested in the Recover Yourself model that I talk about, you can check out some of my older recordings to see all of the things that I address. I am always happy to take on new clients. I take a limited number, one-on-one, every month. And I'm going to be putting out my workshop digitally next week, fingers crossed, and you'll be able to gain access to my workshop either through the subscription or by purchasing it separately. Thank you so much for joining me here on Wisdom. I'm Martin John, the Recovery Mentor, and this was Tao of the Day. So until next time, I hope each and every one of you can continue recovering yourselves. Thank you.